What are the best and worst matchups for your wide receivers, tight ends, and streaming defenses here for Week 8 in Fantasy Football 2022? Time to break it down right here and right now as we give you the rankings and start set advice you need across positions, only on Locked On Fantasy Football.
Are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Vinnie Iyer. When I'm not doing this, I'm writing about fantasy football and the NFL for sportingnews.com. You can check it out here, sportingnews.com. There we have my start sit column up there that you can check out. We also have my sleepers and busts there, along with our other staff picks for the week, my picks against the spread, our picks straight up, all the good stuff you need to know, DFS advice as well, going into the games of Week 8. Can't believe it. We're halfway through the fantasy football regular season and redraft, and it's time to really crunch the numbers and look at the players that we want to get in our lineups and want to get out of our lineups here to avoid those traps here at midseason. We only have two teams off. They are significant teams, the Chargers and Chiefs. So Keenan Allen and Mike Williams battling injuries. Those guys are not available to you. Travis Kelce, all the Chiefs receivers also out there this week, and Gerald Everett has been a nice surprise. He's not available at tight end as well as Kelce this week. So we're going to try to find some players that you can plug in there at those positions. We'll also look at the defenses that you can target. Quick update from yesterday's show. We really liked Ezekiel Elliott. Well, now we don't, because he's got a knee injury. Tony Pollard, a smash spot here. The new Ramondre Stevenson of the week playing that Bears defense this week at home. So he's a must start this week in fantasy, maybe one of the best overall at any position, with Zeke possibly hurting. We do have a couple injuries that we have to navigate through at wide receiver. We'll talk about that here on the show. Before we do that, thanks for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen today. We're free and available to you on all platforms. Crossover Thursday, it's a special thing we do here on the Locked On Network, is looking at all the games from the perspective of the rival hosts here of the two teams that are playing. It's presented by our friends at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is so much fun, it's easy to play. No competing with other players, just you versus projections available. Pick 2 to 5 players. If they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. You can literally take less than 60 seconds to enter. It is that easy. We love PrizePicks, and we know you will too. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com, promo code Locked On. All right, we're going to first look at the wide receiver rankings. These are guys that definitely are going to play this week, and this is how I have them stacked up against each other. My number one on the board is Tyreek Hill for the Dolphins. I know he was contained a bit by the Steelers last week. The Lions do not play a good type of coverage to contain Tyreek Hill. I think it's going to be a big Tua Tagovailoa game. I said he's an easy top 12 QB1 this week. Well, got to attach something to it. Tyreek Hill against the Lions is spectacular. It doesn't get any better than this. So I think he'll rip it. So I have him at number 1 this week. I just think that matchup is great. This could be one of those big Hill blow-up games. So feel great about him there if you got him in your lineup, and a good person to put as a part of your DFS lineup. Justin Jefferson also has a fantastic matchup returning from the bye against the Cardinals this week. I love him there at the number 2 slot. The Cardinals getting better quarterback play from Byron Murphy Jr. and Marco Wilson, but neither of those guys can hang with Justin Jefferson. He can hang big numbers on them. So he comes in at number 2 off the bye. Another player back, thankfully, in fantasy football is Cooper Kupp. Here, he gets the 49ers. The 49ers secondary has changed here. Tavarius Ward is now their top corner. Emmanuel Mosley is down here with that knee injury. So big loss there. And Kupp, it doesn't matter who is covering him, to be honest. He can get open. They're going to scheme him open well after the bye here with Sean McVay. So Cooper Kupp comes at 3. Stephon Diggs, tough matchup on paper against Jair Alexander. But did that stop Terry McLaurin from blowing up last week? No. Even you had McLaurin beat Alexander for a touchdown reception there for the Commanders. So we're not afraid of Jerry Alexander. Who's afraid of no ghost? We're not. He's not a ghost in coverage here. So I look at Diggs making the plays here that are needed. Again, off the bye, love that. Well rested for Jefferson, Kupp, and Diggs, your attorneys at law and your dominant fantasy football wide receiver ones. Jamar Chase has played like the top wide receiver on the board. Well, these guys have been absent for a week. He's had two multiple touchdown games in a row. Will he keep it up against the Browns? We'll see about Denzel Ward. We'll find out in the practice report here if he could return. Who cares? Denzel Ward hasn't been playing that great. Greg Newsome hasn't been playing that great. The Bengals have figured it out. The zone defense against them, they've figured out just put the ball in Jason's hands. He'll make big plays after the catch if you don't get him downfield. So Joe Burrow's got that rolling. It does not cool off here against Cleveland on Monday night. Deebo Samuel, this one is a little bit concerning. He usually has big games against the Rams, but different complications here. Christian McCaffrey should see his regular workload. So that means no Samuel probably in the running game, especially Jeff Wilson still being effective here. But Deebo did it as a receiver last time. I think you have to watch his hamstring injury. That's the biggest concern. But I'm going to put him at 6. He doesn't drop any lower than that because he can take over games here when needed. And I think actually McCaffrey and the way George Kittle is playing now, back healthy in the lineup, that's going to open things up for Deebo there. That you have to pick your poison if you're the Rams. So I actually like this game to be quite higher scoring than we expect. We talked about that, where I like Matthew Stafford and Jimmy Garoppolo this week. I think this is a game that people are maybe sleeping on. Overall, Stafford, a good little contrarian play there at DFS this week with the receivers, and same thing with Garoppolo. He's going to have to throw it quite a bit. The Rams are pretty good against the run. They're actually good at covering tight ends and backs. So this should be a good spot for Deebo Samuel here. Should he play through the hamstring injury? Let's watch that. That's always going to be a concern here. They do play that late window also, so make sure you have a contingency plan for that. Maybe you look on the other side there and have someone prepared to put in your lineup there. Now, Devontae Adams may get another week without Marshawn Lattimore. That would be huge. He's got the abdomen injury. It's more like a kind of a internal gut thing that we're worried about with Marshawn Lattimore. So if he's not playing, Devontae Adams can smash on the outside. Keep in mind, Paulson Adebo, their other corner, has been playing through a knee injury. So it's been pretty bad on the outside for the Saints, not what they expected of late. They gave up big games last week. I could have been bigger there with the Cardinals, but DeAndre Hopkins moved around, did his damage here. So another big game for Devontae Adams, including probably a touchdown here against the Saints, who've been giving it up here quite a bit in the red zone. A.J. Brown returns off his bike. Don't forget about him. There's Jefferson, Kupp, and Diggs. Brown wants part of this law firm, too. He gets the Steelers secondary. They got Cameron Sutton, but not much else there. Really, it's a burnable matchup. I think they'll kind of feed him a little bit more. He's been quiet since that monster week one. He's had another good game as well, but Devonta Smith taking advantage of that the secondary coverage away from Brown as we expected, but I think they'll get Brown reestablished here, so I love him in the top 10 this week. If I like Tyreek Hill in that matchup, guess who's very similar to Tyreek Hill? And in that same matchup, it is Jaylen Waddle of the Dolphins. I mean, playing through the shoulder injury, gets the Lions too. They've tried to change their second corner there. Our boy Aurier has been pulled out. He was really good last year. He's been bad this year. Jeffrey Okudah has been a little bit better, but they're shuffling. They've had Will Harris and some other guys, but it doesn't matter with Mike McDaniel. He's going to scheme Hill and Waddle open, especially if Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator, gets a little too fancy trying to blitz 200 mistakes. That is a big mistake for the lefty to get the ball in the hands to Hill and Waddle this week. D-Hop, thank you, D-Hop, for returning from your suspension and immediately delivering here in fantasy football. Viking secondary, the old friend on the other side, Patrick Peterson. And I emphasize the word old on Patrick Peterson, not as fast as David Hopkins. I like the way they move Hopkins around. If they move him over against Cameron Tiny Dantzler, that's very good as well for Hopkins here on that side. So love Hopkins there against the Vikings this week. Top 10. He rounds out the top 10. Chris Olave. We love Olave against the Raiders this week. They don't have Nate Hobbs. They're really good inside slot corner there. They're really not great on the outside. Rock is saying I think a little bit overrated there on the outside. He's decent, bounced around with the Colts and all that, but I love Olave. He's feeling it. I think they kept Andy Dalton in there as a starting quarterback. Breaking news there. that Olave, that connection has been pretty good here. Dalton had the touchdown with Olave. They really hooked up well last week against the Cardinals. So I think they love that, where I think James Winston may be more tied with Michael Thomas and Marcus Callaway. It's kind of a strange thing there that Olave we thought might benefit more from Winston, but I think that's why I think Dalton is starting here, even the Winston healthy. That Olave connection has definitely been great. Much like old school, throwing it back to Andy Dalton and prime AJ Green. That's how I feel it in this later stage. They're helping the rookie Olave produce, and we like that. T. Higgins. Yeah, T. Higgins is going to get his soon, right? I mean, we've seen Jamar Chase go off, Tyler Boyd go off. Higgins really, if he gets that Greg Newsome matchup, Ward coming back, that's going to be really great here. I like Newsome. He's a Northwestern guy, of course, but he struggled this year. And the depth of the Brown secondary hasn't been all that great. So T. Higgins there. Gabe Davis also has a great matchup. He's going to get the matchup away from Jair Alexander this week, most likely. Alexander will probably travel with Diggs, and Diggs can handle that matchup. But Gabe Davis should see things open up there on Sunday night, so love him. Michael Pittman Jr., don't get down on Michael Pittman Jr. or Alec Pierce for that matter. Look, we've had struggles with Matt Ryan. I get Matt Ryan. We were all buying in this connection that Michael Pittman would be the new Calvin Ridley as he targets his number one receiver, but the numbers haven't been there. I know there's been a couple days with Pittman that has gone off, but I think this is a situation where Sam Ellinger is going to get the ball out quickly when he's not pushing it downfield, buy more time, get Pittman more opportunities, less turnovers to stall drives. So I do like that Michael Pittman. Yeah, and the Commanders matchup is also fantastic. So you can probably just trip over backwards and make big plays against the Commanders, whether it's Kendall Fuller or their weaker corners with William Jackson not playing. Mike Evans tonight, Thursday night here against the Ravens. A tough, not the easiest Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey in that zone defense, but he'll be okay. I think he'll get those little short passers. I have him at 15. I have Chris Godwin, spoiler alert, down there at 22, the last must-start wide receiver of the week. I think Godwin can also eat in the slot against the Ravens, Brandon Stevens and their other coverage there. So Evans and Godwin should return here, but I'm not sure about getting a touchdown from either this week against the Ravens, who have been a little bit stingier about that of late. CeeDee Lamb against the Bears. So this is actually not the easiest matchup against Jalen Johnson. So they got to have to move him around in the middle a little bit so that he's on Kindle Victor or the rookie Kyler Gordon. That'll be ideal for Lamb in this game, but he's fine. He's still a wide receiver 2 at worst this week. Tyler Lockett, we'll see. He's battling through a hamstring injury, but DK Metcalf, I didn't include in the rankings. He would be a must-start this week if I knew for sure about his injury issues. I know this Giants secondary is tough, but Tyler Lockett in the slot, that's where the Giants really struggle. They gave up a big game to Christian Kirk last week. Speaking of slot, the Dolphins secondary is depleted here. Xavier Howard is back on the injury report with a growing injury. No Byron Jones, no Nick Needham. They're really very thin at corner at this point. You might see more of Noah Igbenogany, the fun name to say there in that matchup against Amon-Ra St. Brown. But if he's played cleared concussion protocol, good matchup in the slot with probably high volume in that game. Really, him and DeAndre Swift are going to have to carry this Lions offense quite a bit in that matchup playing off the blitz. Cortland Sutton, again, if Russell Wilson's back, I feel a little bit better about that than Brett Rippon. But all indications are Russell Wilson, with his workout regime on the airplane, looks like he's going to be good to go. I don't know how doing all that stuff is going to help your hamstring play, but yeah, we're going to believe it that Cortland Sutton is going to get Wilson back. And the Jaguars secondary doesn't have Shaquille Griffin, the former Seahawk, former Russell Wilson teammate, so that's going to open things up as well. Christian Kirk, Denver not as great in the slot there as we expect. I mean, they're kind of thin at corner as well. They're beyond that Patrick Surtain 2, so you think Surtain 2 will get one of the Joneses, Marvin or Zay. So that's going to open things on the inside here for Kirk in that matchup against the Broncos. Terry McLaurin, feeling it with Taylor Heineke. We love it. Heineke is great for McLaurin's value. They have a special connection here. Colts secondary hasn't been all that great, so good to play there. I know that over-under is low, but I think that's another sneaky game, just like the Rams 49ers. We're going to have more points than we think this week. All right, there you have it. There's your must-starts. The top 22 wide receivers, almost through our wide receiver 2s there that you have to get in your lineups this week for fantasy football no matter what. So we will get into our wide receiver starts and sits there in our next segment. So don't forget, and then we'll also have tight end starts and sits as well as streaming defense advice there on the show. So a lot more to come here on this edition of Locked On Fantasy Football. I do have to tell you about a very special offer from Bird Dogs, and you want to act fast here so you can get some good, nice free swag. Now, I got my first Bird Dogs experience here of late. I got some shorts with very comfortable lining. I got some joggers as well. I really love them. I've been wearing them all around. I mean, I sometimes fall into the athleisure type of fashion on the weekends when I'm going to watch a kid's sporting event and doing that, and they just want to be relaxed. And they're just really comfortable out there. And Bird Dogs guys, very exciting. They launched sweatpants too. So not only do we have the joggers and shorts there, sweatpants too, super comfortable, like that cute little Charmin bear rubbing against your thighs. You know, that comfy little bear family that we see. It's just like that feeling coming out of the dryer, just so comfortable. Bird Dogs pants are also perfect for fall golf. You might not play like Tiger on a bender, but you'll feel just as good. Trust me. Bird Dogs joggers, I've got one of them, higher quality than Lululemon, and $20 less. What are we talking about here? Just go buy some Bird Dogs right now, guys. I still like to wear shorts in the winter because I live in North Carolina, and winter doesn't come until late here. It doesn't matter if it's Florida or 10 degrees in New England or Chicago. They have the most signature shorts that you can have there with their built-in liners. The most comfortable shorts, trust me, in existence. You'll love wearing Bird Dog shorts and really anything, joggers, khakis, anything they've got, you'll be taken care of. And guess what? You can add a little bit of Bird Dog's extra swag to your gear here with the Bird Dogs rope hat, and you can see that on your screen if you're watching the show on YouTube. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. You can get that there only at birddogs.com, so check it out. All you have to do is enter the promo code Locked On. They'll throw in that free Bird Dogs rope hat. That's birddogs.com, promo code Locked On. That's all caps. Locked On, one word. And boom, a free Bird Dogs rope hat with your pair of Bird Dogs. The most comfortable shorts, pants, and sweatpants, and khakis with built-in liners. You will not take these things off, I promise you. Bird Dogs, so comfortable, so great. Go check them out and get that free rope hat while it's still there. This episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is also brought to you by Blue Nile. It's a big year for me here this year that I got my 10th anniversary here for my wedding going back. And we know that's a big moment there in anyone's life. And so is just knowing that you're celebrating the milestone or you're about to pop the question and you want to have the best jewelry available there at the right price. Well, as the original online jeweler, Blue Nile offers the largest selection of independently graded diamonds and pieces, priced significantly below traditional retailers. Blue Nile has helped millions of couples create their perfect engagement ring. Their easy online tools let you choose a diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then help you handcraft a perfect one-of-a-kind engagement ring. Looking for a piece of fine jewelry to commemorate a special milestone, but still having trouble choosing? Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand for you 24/7. They're available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. Stop stress-free with Blue Nile's 100% satisfaction guarantee. All Blue Nile orders are insured and shipped for free in discreet packaging. They also overnight shipping if you're in a rush. So make your moment sparkle with Blue Nile. Go to BlueNile.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON to save $50 on your purchase of $500 or more. That's BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com. Promo code Locked On to save $50 on your purchase of $500 or more. BlueNile.com. The code is Locked On, and take advantage of that special offer. All right. We will continue the show here on Locked On Fantasy Football in a moment here, looking at our advice for the rest of the wide receivers that we're having questions about, as well as tight ends and defenses. Thanks for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen today. For your second listen today, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's dive into the wide receiver start sits, shall we? DJ Moore, he came through finally in fantasy. He's feeling with PJ Walker. That's a good combination. We told you that PJ Walker might be an upgrade. Took one game, get that Rams game out of the system, but got the Buccaneers matchup. They were beat up in the secondary. DJ remixed and gave us what his fantasy value is here in this game. And the Falcons secondary, oh boy, no Casey Hayward, now no AJ Terrell, no Jalen Hawkins. This is just fantastic. This is 3/4 of their starting secondaries out here. And PJ Walker starting to get it done with DJ Moore. Love DJ Moore this week. We'll talk about it more in DFS. here this week on Friday's show when we do lineup Friday injury updates and DFS reports there for FanDuel and DraftKings and all that good stuff. But DJ Moore is a really good value this week based on that incredible matchup. And he always tends to kill the Falcons there with his history with the Panthers going back to Cam Newton days. Devonta Smith, again, keep it rolling with Devonta Smith, getting that favorable coverage. The Steelers are in the secondary playing off one A.J. Brown. He should be effective. Now, Al Lazard, I have him on the list, but it doesn't look good here. Maybe Christian Watson will return this week, and that could help here. But Sammy Watkins also battling through injury. So whoever the Packers' healthiest number one receiver is at this stage is the guy that isn't Romeo Doubs. It's a brutal matchup. I'm going to play Lazard if he's out there, even with the Bills secondary, because, again, who else is Aaron Rodgers going to throw to? It could be some garbage time there as well. So Lazard will watch, but we're just going to monitor that whole Packers wide receiver depth chart. Again, unfortunately, it's Sunday night, so you won't have a really good read on that. Curtis Samuel, again, he's getting it done, and we thought he might be a little bit faded here, but really there's no Jahan Dotson. He's still having the hamstring injury. Diami Brown still banged up, so they got to throw to someone with Logan Thomas also hurting here. Logan Thomas could return this week, but I still see a lot of McLaurin and Samuel in that game against the Colts, especially with Kenny Moore struggling in the slot. Brandon Ayuk, the Ayuk is on fire. I think he'll keep it up here against the Rams, and probably won't see the Jalen Ramsey matchup much. It definitely could be another Ayuk opportunity here again with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing the ball more. Now, Alec Pierce, one thing about Sam Ehlinger, folks, he's got good mobility, but he's also got a strong arm. And at this point, maybe a stronger arm than Matt Ryan. So Pittman and Pierce don't fade as much. This is just what we do. It's like, Taylor Heineke's in, so we're going to drop down everybody. What do? We said Brett Rippon's in, so fade Jerry Jeudy. But you've got to look at these guys. These are all capable professional quarterbacks that they're going to put the ball in the hands of playmakers. Their coaches are not total idiots at times. They're sometimes smart. And Frank Reich, I know he can be frustrating, but he sometimes makes the right move in terms of his personnel, and this is one of them here with Ehlinger. So don't just completely just say, oh, Pittman and Pierce are done. What do we say about that with Cooper Rush? We were like, oh, everything is done. No, don't do that with these guys. These are still capable quarterbacks. There's good systems, and they can have success here with the talent. Pittman and Pierce just have talent. Wide receiver, the Commanders' secondary stinks. All right, let's go to another secondary that stinks, the Titans. And the Texans should have high volume. Is this a Brandon Cooks showcase for a trade? Potentially. He's been used to being traded. No big deal. He's got so many trades: Saints, Patriots, Rams, Texans. What's one more team? He could be the Ryan Fitzpatrick wide receiver. So maybe they're showcasing him a little bit, or maybe they scale back, but I still like it. They need him. Titans and Davis Mills starting to play a little bit better, at least to get us those garbage numbers. And Nico Collins also could be out with a growing injury. That makes him more appealing. Rashad Bateman, Buccaneers are not going to have Carlton Davis. They're not going to have Sean Murphy-Bunting. They're not going to have Antoine Winfield Jr. tonight. So Bateman should get regular snaps here. He did get a full practice in on Wednesday. That tells us that regular snaps are probably coming this week. They need him. Rashad Bateman's going to come through in fantasy this week as at least a wide receiver 3. Adam Thielen, I like that matchup against the Cardinals at home is really nice here. You can work him in the slot. So love it for Adam Thielen. He's kind of their tight end in the way they use him, in a way. Irv Smith, I know, is really their tight end. But when you look at Thielen, he's used in the red zone like that. So I love it with Thielen. Again, we love Kirk Cousins, Jefferson. This passing game is going to go off here against the Cardinals this week. Jacoby Myers, he's getting it done. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Looks like it'll be Mac Jones this week. So Jacoby is the guy. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. And really the matchup against the Jets. I know the Sauce is on here, but I think Sauce might be on Devontae Parker on the outside. So that'll help Myers continue in the slot there, put up good numbers, and I think he'll be one of the best ways to move the ball other than Ramondre Stevenson again for the Patriots this week. Now, Jerry Jeudy, is he being showcased for a trade? Well, he gets a London game against the Jaguars again. We mentioned Joe Griffin, and again, I don't love what we're getting with the connection there with Russell Wilson, but you got to figure that Jerry Jeudy can do some damage in this particular matchup. Tyler Boyd, keep it going. The Browns are not very good in the slot. Pretty solid. I don't know if you'll get an explosion game like last week, but still pretty reliable. Elijah Moore, yeah, I do like the squeaky wheel, getting the grease type of thing. The Patriots secondary doesn't have much other than Jack Jones. I think Elijah Moore could get the Miles Bryant matchup that's really good here. So hopefully that'll be good in the slot. They need to use him more because, again, he's their Breece Hall now. I mean, we look at James Robinson, and there's been made about him, Michael Carter, but they need to get the short passing game going here with Zach Wilson. Throw the ball to Elijah Moore. And look, Elijah Moore made up with his teammates. He's ready to go here. Allen Robinson, another sneaky pick. I'm not being contrarian here. I just like the way that the Rams kind of got him involved there. You finally had Matthew Stafford pull the trigger, throw to Robinson there in a tough spot. I like that development that we saw against the Panthers. That was against Diontae Jackson. So I like that. So I think this Rams offense, especially if Van Jefferson comes in, probably going to play, gives you a little bit of a deep threat element. That's going to open things for Kupp and Robinson and get rolling. So I think Sean McVay's a smart dude. This offense is going to be way better, and liking their center Brian Allen back. So that's all going to be good here. Rams 49ers like it this week here as an option for you. So those are the plays there that I do like in wide receiver. Let's get into the plays I don't like as much. The worst matchups here. You might be stuck playing these guys, but this will also tell you what to expect and not what to expect here from your players. Diontae Johnson, George Pickens. This is a brutal matchup there on the road against Darius, a big play, fantasy football value killer, Darius Slay, and James Bradbury. Oh, boy. And Avonte Maddox is also there. Yikes. They're all healthy, coming off the bye. I do not like this situation at all for the Steelers receivers. Kenny Pickett just in a hornet's nest here on the other side of the Keystone State. Amari Cooper, no, don't like it. Chidobe Uzie, Cowboy, he knows him. He's not going to like him after this game because Uzie is one of those guys who travel. I think he's got the body type to contain Amari Cooper in this one. And really, Jacoby Brissett is just falling apart here. No David Njoku. So you can see a lot of Harrison Bryant in that game. Drake London, if the Falcons could be trusted to throw the ball more than 10 times, I would feel great about Drake London and Kyle Pitts, but no way. You can't go with it. And this matchup is brutal. J.C. Horn, no. J.C. Horn is going to shut down Drake London. He's from the other USC. That's right. And Charlotte, South Carolina is considered USC. So USC versus USC, Horn puts London in a fog this week. Put that in the headline. Michael Gallup. No. That was bad. That was a 0. I don't trust him on the outside. This is going to be run-heavy script and the CeeDee Lamb script. So nope. Romeo Doubs, no. We're not going to dab on Doubs this week. Absolutely not. I just can't feel comfortable. So Gallup and Doubs, 0 points last week in fantasy. Don't love it this week. Robert Woods, no. Come on, guys. The Texans have Derek Stingley Jr. here. No, we're not going to go with Robert Woods this week. Darnell Mooney, I love the idea of Darnell Mooney. I love the way Justin Fields is slowly breaking out and throwing the ball downfield, but just not enough fantasy football numbers for Darnell Mooney. So no here. They protect the deep ball of the Cowboys with their pass rush. Nope. Rondell Moore, no. I am done with Rondell. No more except DJ and Elijah. No more Rondell. This is just too much. I mean, he had one big catch last week, dropped a touchdown. That was it for Rondell Moore. No. Hunter Renfrow, boy, I don't know what you're going to get from Hunter Renfrow. It seems like Derek Carr has forgotten him. He's see his buddy Devontae Adams. He's thrown to him, even with Darren Waller out. So I also like Foster Moreau, the former LSU star. So he's coming back to the Bayou. So I think Moreau could get some more targets here even than Renfrow. So this is not good. Renfrow, not feeling it. Renfrow. Garrett Wilson, I want to go with him, but I don't think he's the guy that you can push the ball downfield to. The Patriots can maybe contain him on the outside, where Elijah Moore is going to get those shorter passes here from the situation with Zach Wilson. So there you have it. There's a look at your wide receiver starts and sits, maybe those tougher decisions there that are not as no-brainer as our top 22 of the week. Then when we break this down, we think about standard, half, and full and try to give you all that perspective here this week. We're also considering the injuries. And, again, we give you the comprehensive look at the corners and the coverage matchups and all that as well. I want to break it down for you, but I also want to keep it easy so you don't have to overthink these and take a deep dive here with some of these situations. So we will get into our tight end starts and sits as well as our defense recommendations of the week. All right, here's a sports analogy for you. When it comes to burglars, your home is like the end zone. You need the absolute strongest defense you can muster. This is why I use and trust SimpliSafe Home Security. SimpliSafe, your safety is the only thing that matters. It's cutting-edge technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents. Always have your back, so you always know that your home is safe. Here, really, SimpliSafe makes me feel safe. And really, their pros are outstanding. They have advanced technology where they control your system from your phone with the app, watching the crystal clear HD live stream of your screen cameras, or the wide variety of high-tech sensors. And I told you about the staff. professionals really have your back. 24/7 monitoring agents are there to help you and also give you some tech support as well there from SimpliSafe there. So really, SimpliSafe blankets your home in protection with all that good stuff. Their monitoring experts use proprietary advanced response technology to visually confirm when a break-in is real, so you can get the highest priority police dispatch. So you can really feel safe with SimpliSafe. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplisafe.com/lockedonnfl. That's locked on NFL. Save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit simplisafe.com/lockedonnfl to learn more. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. All right, it is time to close the show here on Locked On Fantasy Football and look at our tight ends. Mark Andrews, he's the top on the board, but let's watch that knee injury. It was a little concerning last week. Didn't have a catch, had a 4-yard run. So he actually played like 90% of the snaps, very close. I think 87% there, and didn't do anything against the Browns. They get the Buccaneers this week. The Buccaneers can be giving to the tight end, and we told you about their injuries in the middle. So if Andrews plays, good to go. You're going to trust Andrews is going to get more run this week. They need to get Andrews involved. Maybe Bateman returning with Devin Duvernay will open things up again for Andrews this week. So he's in your lineup if he's in the lineup for the Ravens. George Kittle, he's on a bit of a heater. 2 big games in a row. That's big for George Kittle. So against the Falcons and delivered last week against the Chiefs. So 2 good matchups. He took advantage of. This is not the greatest matchup, but Kittle, good to see things open up for him more with McCaffrey and Samuel and Ayuk there down the stretch. Zach Ertz this week has a really good matchup there. The Vikings coverage really opens it up for tight end production. So I do like Zach Ertz. DeAndre Hopkins kind of drawing some attention downfield. So that should be good to open things up for Ertz here. And Hopkins, we'll see Peterson, maybe a little bit of bracket coverage in that game. TJ Hawkinson against the Dolphins this week. The Dolphins can be given to the tight end. And again, Hawkinson, if he has the big 2 back with him, Amon St. Brown, DeAndre Swift, Hawkinson becomes more effective in those particular games. So like Hawkins this week, Dallas Goedert here also is an every week play at number 5 for me at tight end. He's playing the Steelers at home this week. So Steelers have also given it up to the tight end there for sure. And Taysom Hill, I know by the numbers, the Raiders are giving to the tight end. I know Taysom Hill is not really a tight end, but at this point, it's a pretty dry well here without Travis Kelce and Gerald Everett. He's at least a top 10 tight end play this week. Pat Freiermuth, we do like him quite a bit against the Eagles here this week because the Eagles are going to bottle up the outside receiver. So Eagles give it up a little bit to the tight ends. They're a little bit weaker at linebacker and safety in their coverage. Mike Gesicki, the Lions are terrible at covering the tight end. That should open things up here as they split the Red Seas with Hill and Waddle. I think Mike Gesicki comes through this week. The Vikings have Irv Smith, and he can get a touchdown. The Cardinals are really bad against the tight end. We saw Juwan Johnson did the end zone twice against them last week. Hunter Henry there for the Patriots. Going to get a little bit more involved. Again, the Jets with Sauce Gardner on the outside. They need to throw more to the inside here with Hunter Henry. And having Mac Jones fully starting was going to help that. Cade Otton tonight. Love that matchup there for the rookie for the Buccaneers. No Russell Gage in the lineup. No Cameron Brate. He has to be the third key target. The Ravens give it up with their zone coverage there that they've adjusted to. They've been giving up games to the tight end all season long. So Cade Otton is a very easy streaming play this week if you're looking for a plug-and-play for one Travis Kelce this week. Will Dissly, again, Dissly, it's hard because there's a committee there with Noah Fant and Colby Parkinson, but Giants are also not very good. So again, that correlation we talk about a lot in the preseason about teams that struggle against the run because they play zone defense or don't have the best cleanup there with linebacker or safety. They're also vulnerable oftentimes against a tight end. If that's a good blocking tight end, the way that Dissly is, he can slide out, get a little play action touchdown there off the running of Kenneth Walker. Well, let's get into our weaker starts at tight ends here. Tyler Higbee, yeah, I think it's Rams offense. Get Van Jefferson back. It's going to be back to 11 personnel, baby. So no Higbee as much. They also saw Ben Skoranek have a pretty good game. So those receivers might push Higbee back into that blocking role here more. And I think out of necessity, Stafford was peppering him with targets. But we saw before the bye, Higbee was fading when Robinson became a bigger factor and Skoranek was doing some damage against the Panthers. So do not like Tyler Higbee this week. Kyle Pitts, no, he can't go there. The Panthers are actually pretty good against the tight end, even without Jeremy Chin, and the volume is just not there. Dalton Schultz, the Bears are actually decent against the tight end overall, so you can't go there. The Browns also a good tight end defense because they're bad on the outside. So that's also a correlation that we make. If a team is bad on the outside, and if they're corners, that's where they're going to be targeted more than their linebackers and safeties. So that also plays in effect there for the Browns against Hayden Hurst. Robert Tonyan, you can't go there. The Bills are excellent against the tight end. That's another team with Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds, just too good in coverage on that position. Dawson Knox, the Packers also very good against that position. So Tonyan and Knox don't play tight end there on Sunday night. Greg Dulcich, no. We have Jaguars having a little bit of talent there in the back end there. So we're not looking at Dulcich there, especially if it's Russell Wilson returning. Quickly, let's get into our defenses and looking at the players we want to get out there. Definitely Micah Parsons and the Cowboys against the Bears at home. Love that against Justin Fields. They'll get some sacks and takeaways. Eagles at home against Kenny Pickett, another young quarterback there. Good matchup for them. The Bills against Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, that's good. It's primetime, emotional bump. Patriots against Zach Wilson there, and the Jets. Jets against Mac Jones in the same game. And the Broncos, it's still Trevor Lawrence struggling a little bit there. But the Broncos defense, there's been nothing wrong with them. They've been pretty reliable here all season long as a player. They've been really carrying the team here for sure. Now they need a little bit more offense, but the Broncos still getting it done with their pass rush and playmaking ability there on that side of the ball. Dolphins, they're going to blitz, get after Jared Goff, makes mistakes there for Goff, and it's going to happen there. The Titans playing against Davis Mills, yeah, they can force some turnovers. They had a big game last week. You had the touchdown, pick six against Matt Ryan last week. The Jaguars facing Russell Wilson, also in London. Good matchup there. The Buccaneers, not bad, but I think they're outside here of the top 12. I think they're 14 play. Ravens, not too bad, but I just wouldn't play them here if you've got one of those above defenses. And the Bengals this week, looking at Jacoby Brissett here, that's a good opportunity as well on Monday Night Football. Now, the players and defenses I would like. I also like the Panthers this week, by the way, against the Falcons. I think that's a great matchup as well. So if they're a really cheap option, they're actually one that I'm targeting DFS. We'll talk about that on our Friday show with our injury and DFS report for the week. 49ers and Rams both sit them in the same game. Don't like the Commanders and Colts. I think that's a sneaky shootout game. I think if you want to look at a streaming defense, I think you look at that Raiders opportunity there instead. The Saints, not going to play them against Derek Carr, even though he has a back injury, a little bit of issue there. But Saints just are giving up too much, way too much, their yardage overall. Cardinals, not going to play them. Don't chase those points against the Saints and Andy Dalton last week, so not going there this week. There's the Vikings should light them up, and the Giants at Seattle. Seattle, very protective of the ball. Their offensive tackles are playing well. So now a lot of opportunities for points against Geno Smith and Kenneth Walker this week. So there you have a look at your streaming defense options for week number 8. Not the greatest out there this week. Last week was just fantastic. This week, not as good here for our streaming defenses that have the opportunity to put up big points, but still some plays that you can't ignore because they can be the difference between winning or losing when you're in tight matchups. That's for sure, based on the scoring system in your league. Thanks for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen. For your next listen, check out Locked On Sports Today, the podcast that covers the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. It's available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. For Locked On Fantasy Football, this has been Vinnie Iyer. Have a great day there, and good luck if you have players going on Thursday night. We'll come back tomorrow with the updates on the injuries and your DFS report for week number 8.